The U.S. directly warned that it would target Chinese firms or individuals involved in any effort to arm Russia's military for its war in Ukraine. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's comments were the administration's most specific public admonition on the issue so far, and just one more point of tension in the increasingly frayed relationship with China. Tonight, a newly created House committee focused on U.S.-China relations is meeting for the very first time. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill. Jay, what will the committee be focusing on?
Yeah, Lindsay, that committee meeting right through these doors here, the same committee room where the January 6th committee met. This committee, this China committee, also meeting in prime time, hoping to make a splash, hoping, as members of the committee say, to pull back the curtain on China, and also looking to show that the idea of confronting China is a bipartisan issue here in this Congress. We spoke with the top Republican and the top Democrat of this committee, Mike Gallagher, the Republican, Rajna Krishnamoorthi, the ranking member of this committee, and we asked him how this new House Select Committee on China, newly formed, is going to confront some of those issues driving the headlines, including that burgeoning U.S.-China relationship. That burgeoning Russia-China relationship. Here's what Gallagher had to say.
I'm very concerned, and I do want the committee to tackle it. This is a big takeaway from my trip to Taiwan, that increasingly this no-limits partnership, which there was a tendency initially to think, it's just something, a piece of paper they signed. Now it's something very real. Putin, I see as Xi's junior partner in this de facto alliance against the West. I think he's Xi's tethered goat in Europe, his agent of chaos. And so for us to separate these problems, I think would be an analytical and geopolitical mistake. So we have to tease out that connection going forward.
Another geopolitical issue that this committee looking to tackle, the origins of the coronavirus, not necessarily investigating that itself, but as the committee says, what were China's efforts to stonewall international investigators, just one of a host of things that this committee hopes to probe, Lindsay.
And when you talk about that host of things, the Chinese-owned app TikTok is another one of those areas of contention right now. Just today, China lashed out against the Biden administration's order to remove the app from all government-issued devices. How does the committee plan to tackle that issue?
Well, we've seen already bipartisan legislation coming out of the chair and ranking member of this committee calling for a nationwide ban of TikTok. They say it's a security risk in data privacy and also in misinformation because, as you know, TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance. But we pressed Gallagher and Krishnamoorthi on if they think a ban is actually feasible and would get through Congress. Here is what Krishnamoorthi had to say.
I don't see a ban happening in the U.S. I think that there'll be a forced sale. What Mike and I have talked about in our legislation is that we don't want the user data or the algorithms or the content ultimately being controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. People already have problems with big tech having their personal data, but it's a bridge too far when you're talking about the Chinese Communist Party or an adversarial regime. And that's why I think our constituents and many others are so concerned.
And that notion of TikTok falling into a broader theme that this committee hopes to focus on, which is the economic relationship, Lindsay, between the U.S. and China.
And looking ahead, Jay, what other areas of U.S.-China relations can we expect the committee to dive into?
Well, one of the things that made some waves is Chair Gallagher of this committee saying that he is thinking of calling the CEOs of major American companies to testify. If that happened, that would cause a significant stir. He did not specify who he wants to testify, when he wants them to testify, and what exactly he wants to ask them. We pushed him on that earlier today. Here's what he said.
I certainly want to engage in a discussion with CEOs of major American companies that have a presence in China, and it need not be adversarial. I understand that for 2 decades, we've all made the same basic bet on China. We were going to integrate them into the global economy in a hope that it would moderate their behavior. The only problem is that that bet, which there was a logic to it, failed.
Overall, this committee worth watching because it's a congressional committee confronting a major global power, Lindsay, something you do not see in this building often.
Jay, our thanks to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.